Hey Stampin' friends, it's been a little while, so I thought I would create another video. I'm going to show you how I went about making, this card right here. Kind of hard to see about the technique, but you'll get the idea when I'm done showing. So as you can see from everything out here on the table, I'm using a number of products. The products are coming from both the Big Idea Booking Catalog and the 2011 Occasions Mini Catalog. I'm going to be highlighting the embossed tulips embossing folder for the Big Shot, and I'm also going to be using the stamp set called Baby Blossoms. I'm going to be using for my greeting Teeny Tiny Wishes. For ink colors, I'm using Regal Rose, Rose Red, Not Quite Navy, and River Rock. And you may be asking, how in the world did I come up with those combinations? Well, thanks to the handy dandy color coach, in particular the Rose Red color swatch. If you look at the back of the Rose Red color swatch, it shows you some color combinations, and it does list the Not Quite Navy and the and the River Rock. And up here, as in terms of a dynamic duo, you will see that the Regal Rose is listed. Okay, to finish it off, I'm going to be using the Rose Red seam binding. I'm also going to be, again, showing you once again my famous fork bow that I learned. I'm also going to be using Crystal Effects and Dazzling Diamonds. So, the focal point of the card was created using the Modern Label Punch and the Word Window Punch. And I think we're about ready to get started. Again, this is the card that we are going to be creating, and I don't know if you can see it in the light or not, but there is a fantastic shimmer that is on this card, and that is going to be the focus of our video today. Okay, so we need to get our cardstock centered just right in within the embossing folder so that we'll get a nice even border all the way around. I'm going to go ahead and run it through the Big Shot and show you the final outcome. Okay, so through the Big Shot, awesome, looks really good. Our card is actually, the card base is made with River Rock. The size is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. And then the other pieces that I'm going to be using is Not Quite Navy. The Not Quite Navy piece is 3 1/8 inches by 4 1/4 inches. I'll also be using a piece of Whisper White, which is 2 7/8 inches square. I have two scrap pieces, a piece of Rose Red and a piece of Whisper White, which will be used for the greeting on the front of the card. And then I'm also using the Rose Red seam binding, and you'll need a piece about 12 inches or 1 foot in length. Okay, I've already done a whole tutorial on doing my fork bow, so I don't want to spend a lot of time doing that. But I am going to make the fork bow, and I'm using the extra large serving fork. So I'm just going to do this fairly quickly. If you're interested in the step-by-step, you want to view my other videos either on my blog or on my YouTube channel, and that will show you step-by-step how to create this bow. So, almost done. Oops. Okay, so I have my bow. So the first thing that I'm going to do is take that bow, and I'm going to use my snail adhesive, and I'm going to adhere it, put some glue adhesive on the ribbon itself, and I'm going to adhere it to the bottom section of the Not Quite Navy paper. Beautiful. Now that I've got that done, I'm going to actually put some dimensionals on the back of the Not Quite Navy. All right, so that will fit very nicely right in the center of our framed tulips. So this is what we have so far. Okay, so I'm ready to start stamping. I'm taking my flower image with my Regal Rose and just randomly doing flowers all over my white cardstock. Then I'm doing the overlay in Rose Red. I don't know about you guys, but the reason I love this stamp set so much is because when I first started stamping, I don't know, maybe about 12 years ago, there was a stamp set called Roses in Winter, and it was my absolute favorite. And this set reminds me so much of it, except on a much smaller scale. All right, now I'm going to take my little dots, and those are going to be in not quite navy, again, just randomly. And then I'm taking the fern piece, and I'm using River Rock, which was the color of the card itself, to randomly put some of those in there. All right, great. So this is what I've come up with, kind of just like my own little patterned paper. Okay, so now that we're done with the stamping, we're going to use two products. One is called Crystal Effects, and the other is called Dazzling Diamonds. I'm using an empty embellishment case, and I am going to dump some Crystal Effects into the container. And then I'm also going to dump in some Dazzling Diamonds, a fairly liberal amount. I'm using a plastic spoon to kind of mix my concoction, if you will. Okay, looks okay. Good. Now that the concoction is mixed, I am taking just a standard sponge with the wooden handle. You can get these at any of the home improvement stores, Lowe's, Home Depot, etc. I'm dipping it into the mixture that I made, getting the brush pretty damp, and I'm going to go ahead and brush this all over the stamped image. Oops. Now, what this is doing is, number one, Crystal Effects is a very clear gel that actually acts as an adhesive, but if you let it dry without actually attaching anything to it, it dries very shiny and makes your image look almost as if it is wet. Now, by dumping the Dazzling Diamonds in with it, I have created, and I don't know how well this is, whoops, how well this is going to show up on camera. Oh, actually, I think it's going to look pretty good. You can see lots and lots of sparkle and dazzle in there, as well as a shimmer shine. So I'm going to let this dry. This really does not take very long to dry, but I'm going to let it dry for a couple of minutes and then come back at you. Okay, the end is in sight. We are almost done. We're taking our Not Quite Navy ink, and I am creating this to be a birthday card. So I'm using the stamps, the saying that says Happy Birthday, which comes from the stamp set Teeny Tiny Wishes. And I'm stamping it in Not Quite Navy on Whisper White paper. Perfect. I'm taking my word window punch to punch that out. Perfect. And then I am using my modern label punch with my scrap of rose red, and I'm creating the background border for my verbiage. So I'm going to now take my snail adhesive and use that on the back of my Whisper White so that I can center this onto the rose red. So that's what it looks like. I'm taking my image, which is now completely dry, nice and shiny and shimmery and glassy looking. I'm taking a couple of dimensionals because that's how I'm going to adhere this to the front of this card. I highly recommend the dimensionals as opposed to regular adhesive because the image is so shiny, the regular adhesive may not stick well. But I also wanted it to pop a little. I wanted it to be standing up. So I'm going to go ahead and put that right on my stamped image. Now I'm going to use my snail adhesive. Yeah, you got to see that I made a mistake, but that's okay. I covered it up. It's two sides of every sheet of paper. And then I'm going to go ahead and adhere this to my card. And voila, we have now created a beautiful birthday card with a beautiful technique that is easy to reproduce in your own home. Thanks for watching.